Today, yes, is Saturday, February 25th, 2017. And today I'd like to do something, well, a bit different. We've been, for a long time, looking at the oxherding pictures, and for a long time looking at various Jataka tales. Today, I'd like to return us to exploring a koan. As you'll see, I think it has some relevance, and also there's an added treat in it for all of us, as you will see why I've got this little recording or playing device here. So let's begin. One of the most beautiful sounds on our planet must be the sound of rain falling, dripping down on sidewalks, trees, and grassy earth. The shed roof where I keep my old motorcycle is built out over the window of my office. As I sat at my desk and wrote these words yesterday, the rain was coming down hard on the shed's tin roof right behind my shoulder. What a lovely sound. Today, right now, we can hear the rain dripping on the skylights overhead in the roof of the Zendo. That, too, is a lovely sound. Of course, all such sounds have their contexts. As Melville says towards the opening of Moby Dick, to enjoy a frosty night, it all depends on which side of the window you are experiencing it from. Indoors with a fire going, a cold, snowy, blustery night is a wonderful thing. Homeless with no shelter, it is quite another. So too with rain. When we're indoors looking out, the long spears of winter rain create a cozy feeling. But if we have no shelter, then there may only be misery. But what is the sound of rain in itself? Not relatively, not contextually. And how does truly understanding this aspect of rainfall tell us who or what we are ourselves? To explore this in this rain-soaked couple of days of February, I'd like to look at case number 46 in the Hekigan Roku, or Blue Cliff Record. As a special treat, given that I'm still getting over being sick, I'd like to offer Aitken Roshi himself on this koan. None of you, I think, have ever heard him give teisho, so I think you will find it interesting. I will too. It will bring back many fond remembrances for me. And I will comment a bit on his teisho after, just personally, about my work with Aitken Roshi, after we've heard the teisho. If you find the sound is a bit faint, please feel free to move your mats up or chairs up and get closer to the source of the sound. So we'll do our best here to get this all to work.
Record, case 46.
It'll get smoother.
Kelsey asked a monk, "What is that sound outside?" The monk said, "The sound of rain dripping." Kelsey said, "Ordinary people are upside down, falling into delusion about themselves and pursuing outside objects." The monk said, "What about yourself, your reverence?" Kelsey said, "I am on the brink of falling into delusion about myself." The monk asked, "What do you mean, on the brink of falling into delusion about yourself?" Kelsey said, "To attain the world of emptiness may not be so difficult, but to express the bare substance is hard." Kelsey was one of a number of important successors of the teacher Seppo in the Seigen line. Cognate to the Soto line, Seppo was the ancestor of the Hogen line and the Unmon line. Time of great efflorescence of Zen Buddhism in Han, China. Kyosei's great brother monks, who went on to be splendid teachers, include Unmon, Gensha, Chokei, Hofuku, Suigan, many great teachers. So he was nurtured in a home of enlightenment with great natural tendencies himself. It is recorded that when he was 6 years old, he refused to eat any meat or fish. And when his parents forced him, he would throw it up. Soon after that, as a young boy, he became a monk. Going to the community of Seppo, yes, Seppo once said to the assembly, "Splendidly refined." Kyosei came forth and said, What splendid refinement is this?" Seppo stood up and said, "What did you say?" Kyosei retreated back a few steps, you can imagine, just like our Shosan. Retreated back a couple of steps and stood there. Seppo said, "This matter is so noble, so refined." Kyosei said, "In the years since I have been here, I have never heard you teach like this." Seppo said, "Though I haven't taught like this before, now I've already done so. Is there anything wrong?" Kyosei said, "I don't dare to say so. This is only what the teacher has inevitably said." Seppo said, "Let me be like this." Kyosei gained true entry by these words. One day, Seppo asked Kyosei, "Where have you been?" Kyosei said, "I've been outside." Seppo said, "Did you meet Bodhidharma?" Kyosei said, "Where else?" And that leads us right into the case today. Where else but outside? Kyosei asked the monk, "What is that sound outside?" "The sound of rain dripping." Well, was not just a single kind of encounter. Apparently, Kyosei enjoyed asking this question of his monks. One day he asked a monk, "What is that sound outside?" The monk said, "The sound of quail." Kyosei said, "If you wish to avoid uninterrupted hell, don't slander the wheel of the true Dharma of the Tathagata." Another time, Kyosei said, "What is that sound outside the gate?" A monk said, "The sound of a snake eating a frog." Kyosei said, "I knew that all beings suffer. Here is another suffering being." Engo comments, "These words are the same as those in the case. If patch-robed monks can penetrate here, nothing can block their independence within the heaps of sound and form. If you cannot penetrate, then you are constrained by sound and form." So when he asked the monk, as in our case, "What is that sound outside?" the monk said, "The sound of raindrops." And then Kyosei said, "Ordinary people are upside down, falling into delusion about themselves and pursuing outside objects." By ordinary people, of course, he includes the monk who asked the question. Yes. What is the crux here? The monk didn't get it, but he had the courage to ask, "What about you, Your Reverence?" Kyosei said, "I am on the brink of falling into delusion about myself." What can we say about this response? I think something like, "I am, or I was, about to join with you in your preoccupations, in your upside-down attitudes, in your pursuit of outside objects. Oh, but I'm not going to." So, the monk continues, "What do you mean on the brink of falling into delusion about yourself?" Ingo comments here, if this had happened in the school of Tokusan or Rinzai, the blows and shouts would already have been falling here. But Kyosei puts through a single continuous path and follows him, creating complications. He went on to say more to him. To express the world of emptiness may not be so difficult, but to present the bare substance is hard. Not to attain the way of, to attain the place of complete emptiness may not be so difficult. Yes, not so difficult to find the top of that 100-foot pole. Stepping off the top of that 100-foot pole, now that's hard. This whole matter of sounds is so important. significance of the archetype Kanzeon lies in her name, the one who hears sounds. Now, as the incarnation of mercy, Kanzeon is the one who hears the sounds of suffering of the world. But the word suffering does not appear in her name. Just the one who hears the sounds of the world. She is the one who hears those sounds and contains them, finds that she contains them. They come forth as her own consciousness. Yes. With this experience, body and mind fall away. With this experience, inside and outside become one. Kyosei is directing us to the world of Kanzeon, to personifying Kanzeon, to find Kanzeon is no other than myself. Each birdsong, as I said this morning, is a reminder, but it is more than that. More than a reminder, more intimate than a reminder. What is that sound outside? Basui Zenji also urges us to take on the robe of Kanzeon. Who is hearing that sound? He asked. Literally, who is the master of hearing that sound? If master can be feminine as well as masculine. Who is in charge of hearing that sound? Meditating on this important koan, one reaches the place of acknowledgement of the world of emptiness. No one hearing here, but the attainment, but the expression of the bare substance is hard. That is the step from the top of the 100-foot pole. That is the expression of the one in charge. Our problem is that, as Aitken Roshi said, we suppose that I am here and you are irrevocably out there. Out there, in here. What is the resolution, anyway? Who is hearing that sound? What is that sound outside?
For those who've never heard Aitken Roshi, he has a very almost Chinese style of speaking that I found quite surprising when I first heard him give Teisho. So let me tell you a little bit about my work with Aitken Roshi in relation to this. A bit of context. I worked on Who is Hearing with Aitken Roshi, both by mail and in two sessions in person at Palolo Zen Center in Honolulu. We had been working on a variety of koans and checking my previous koan work. He also passed me on Mu while I was there performing in schools and in libraries on Oahu. Mu had not been my so-called breakthrough koan in Rochester, and to do it on my own while working every day and coming to Doksan with him at night was deeply encouraging. It told me you don't need a big center and a staff and all that, just your aspiration, your own willingness to work devotedly and courageously, and a teacher. That's all that counts. It was very freeing. In any case, at one point he asked if I'd worked on Who is Hearing. He told me that it can take a while, but it really opens the essence of the Buddha's teaching, the core. And in fact, in Diamond Sangha, which is our koan style, we will all, if we're working on koans, work on Who is Hearing as part of the first gate process, actually. After Mu and the sound of a single hand, we're likely to work on that, or after the Hekigan after the Mumankon, either one. Uh, but he said it's the core. I said, that's what I want. So I worked on it on my own, mailing him responses. Then I worked on it by going to Hawaii for 10 days or so to do Doksan with him, and also attend a few days of session before I had to go home. He kindly set it up for me to come to his and his wife Anne's apartment at Palolo every day. And there, in his jumbled office full of books, papers, art, we put on our roxus and did Doksan together. One day, while I was waiting, Anne showed me the back of their apartment door with a poster on it of the snakes of Northern California. Aitken Roshi had been for a time the teacher at Ring of Bone Zendo, which Gary Snyder had created up in the Sierras, and back then Gary had been his student. Nelson Foster, though, by this time was the teacher there. Anne loved snakes, and Roshi had brought this poster for her. I was enamored of snakes too, and we talked about snakes in literature, especially about Ka, the rock python, in Kipling's The Jungle Books. We both loved Ka. Then I entered Roshi's office and we took up our koan practice together. Anne had a massive stroke the next day, and shortly thereafter she died. Nelson Foster, John Tarrant, the translator Stephen Mitchell, and hundreds of other Zen friends and Diamond Sangha students and teachers came from around the world for her funeral memorial service. That's where I first met Nelson, and I also had Shosan with him. At the memorial service for his wife Anne, amidst the cookies and cakes and tea, Aitken Roshi, who was tall, bent down and whispered in my ear, "Who is hearing all this din?" You see, he was never far from it. It wasn't special for him. Zen wasn't an add-on. For him, it was simply the truth of life, of ordinary, real life, this one in which we all live and age and die. A day or so later, we went into sesshin together. Roshi decided to hold sesshin as previously scheduled. We talked about it beforehand, and he asked me what I thought. I told him to take it easy and give himself enough time to grieve. If I remember, he did somehow give himself a lighter schedule. I think Nelson handled a lot of the Doksan and a couple of the Teishos. We talked in Doksan the morning before I left. I could stay for a few days only of the session, and then I headed for the airport and home. When I returned for my next session with him, an 8-day Rohatsu, something opened vividly on the second day and clarified for me. And then we went on to other koans. So now, I ask you, that sound outside, what is it?